listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, and welcome to Alive Again at PetLifeRadio.com. What is our show about? Our show is about animal afterlife and pet reincarnation. And why do I get to be the host? Well, my name is Brent Atwater, and I'm considered the world's authority on animal reincarnation. Now, who said I was? Well, I have devoted over 20 plus years, almost now, getting real close to that date, researching animal afterlife, the Rainbow Bridge, and pet reincarnation. And while doing this, we learn to talk to the animals, and I can see inside an animal's body so we can discuss the death process. But the most important thing is, since I see energy and am able to see inside a body, I can take the pet's energy, cross it over the death line, and look at them on the other side to determine if or when they're coming back and what they're going to look like, so I can tell you. Now, if they're not coming back, then we talk to them and ask, what's your purpose? Today, we're going to address the two questions that everybody asks. Is my pet okay? Did he know what was going on? And tell them that I love him. Now, why is that important? Both of these are what almost every email I have gotten over the many, many years that I've been doing this begin with. So today, we're going to give you the tools. That's right, we're going to teach you, so get your pencil and paper out. We're going to teach you how to ask your pet if it's okay, and we're going to teach you how to tell your pet you love them. So we're going to take a break with our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
Petco, where the pets go. Petco, where the pets go.
Pet Life Radio has tail-wagging, fur-flying, fabulous deals for our listeners from Petco. Get $6 off your order of $60 or more and up to 40% off the entire Petco site. That's right. But that's not all. Because you're a Pet Life Radio listener, you'll also get free shipping on your order of $49 or more. $6 off, up to 40% off, and free shipping from Pet Life Radio and Petco. To get these awesome deals, go to PetcoDeals.com. That's PetcoDeals.com.
Petco, where the pets go.
I'm not much of a reader, but I do wish I were more well-read.
There are so many great books coming out. I wish I could find a way to keep up.
Audible.com makes it easy to stay well informed and catch up on your reading simply by listening. Audiobooks from Audible turn downtime into uptime. You'll be more productive and become well read.
Now I'm able to catch up on all the great books I've been wanting to read.
With Audible, I feel smarter.
Pet Life Radio listeners, try Audible.com now and get your first 30 days of Audible Listener Gold membership plan free. And get a free audiobook. Choose from over 100,000 titles. To get this great deal, go to audibledeals.com. That's audibledeals.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Now, before we get going, I have to tell you a little bit of resources that if you don't hear exactly what we're saying, or if you miss a section of this, it's real important for you to know that you can email us your questions at brent@petliferadio.com. Now, also, we have archives. This is on iPods. This is on iTunes. You can find us everywhere. So you don't have to miss any of these informational shows, and we have them on the go. So all of these archives you could be listening to while you're doing your jogging, while you're doing your sit-ups, or just driving in the car. There's lots of information here, so don't hesitate to go back in the archives and see everything that you can learn, because my job is to help empower you to get in touch with your pet. Now, I have a book called Animal Reincarnation, Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Animal Life After Death and Pet Reincarnation. It's 128 pages of questions and answers. So if you don't get an answer here today, go get the book. It has lots of techniques that will teach you other things like how to see your pet on the other side, how to touch your pet while it's in the Rainbow Bridge, and then we have Return from Rainbow Bridge videos on YouTube and a lot more. So let's start off today with, is my pet okay? Was everything all right? A lot of people address pet loss with guilt. And guilt is not a feeling that, although you may have it as a human, you don't want to have for a long period of time. The one thing for you to remember that is the most important of everything is that you and your animal, while you were little angels in heaven, pre-scripted the death scenario when they transition from Earth to Rainbow Bridge. That's right. You and your pet decided how the scenario around his transition would be. A lot of times pets will die without their owner there. That usually means that the pet doesn't want to involve the owner in the reality of having to watch them pass because the owner is too emotionally fragile or really unable to handle that process. A lot of pets die very quickly so that their owner won't have to suffer through a long time of illness and that dragging on, like sometimes renal failure will do that in dogs and cats. You'll spend months and sometimes years knowing that the animal is dying, praying that they're going to hang on, but knowing that the end result is not going to be positive. So what you want to do is, if you have any guilt surrounding the loss of your pet, try and look at it as a learning opportunity. Another thing you want to think about is sometimes your pet's death is a learning opportunity. For example, we had a lady who let the dog out to go to the bathroom for the first time just for a minute, and she wasn't paying attention to where he was. He went off the back porch and coyotes got him. And she's always been very guilty about that. Well, it was more about a learning opportunity because no matter what she had done, at some point in time, that pet had come to give her a learning opportunity. So she learned never let, because she lives on the edge of woods, her pet out without being supervised because there are things dark and ugly and hungry coming out of the woods where she lives. So even if you have something that's horrific, like your pet gets run over, or something that you feel you caused, look for the lesson in it because that's why your pet experienced that manner of transition. And another thing people talk about is he okay? Here's what you need to understand, and I want you to picture this in your mind because this is exactly what happens. First of all, when an animal is going to pass away, even if it's in a momentary incident like being hit by a car, or if it's a long process like lung cancer or renal failure, a cat's energy will, and a dog's energy and a horse's energy will withdraw into its body 48 to 24 hours before the pet dies. So any of you out there who can see auras, that's one of the things that you can watch. You'll see the energy of the animal draw into the body toward the heart center. And then at that point in time, as the animal vacates his body, you can see the energy come into the body and stay there. And then the body will dissolve into a black, basically it's like a black smoke form. And as your pet leaves, more and more areas become black on his body because black means no electromagnetics. And all of this is in my book, Animal Reincarnation. It tells you how to look at the aura if you want to see if your pet is going to be here or not. A healthy pet normally has about a 3-inch aura around it, or energy field. And you can look at that energy field and determine, are they still going to be here? Do they still have a while to stay? And when that energy field starts lessening and getting closer and closer and closer to the body, then that's when you know it's time for them to leave. Okay, now here's what happens. When you look at energy and a pet leaves his body, then, and as I said, there's a whole chapter explaining this in the book, Animal Reincarnation. A pet's energy will, if you see auras, swirl in a purple counterclockwise direction up to the Rainbow Bridge. And the body, the physical body that they have leased for this lifetime, will begin to look like an energy field with black spots in it. And the black spots will grow more and more prevalent because black means there is no electromagnetic activity, which is the same thing as life force energy. That's like somebody who has cancer. When there's an area that's been eaten inside their body, or there's an area in emphysemas who have lung damage, the damage looks black because there's no life force energy there, and therefore you know it's a dead area. So when a pet dies, he leaves his body by withdrawing his energy 48 to 24 hours. That's about how long the process takes. And this is true for humans too. So if in the back of your mind you're going, does that work with humans? Well, yes, it does. As a matter of fact, a lot of hospice nurses feel like they can see that energy. And as the energy leaves a human form, sometimes the body will take a sigh. And you can see the shoulders lift up. And if you can see energy, you'll see the energy leave out the shoulders. On an animal, it's normally through the heart chakra. And as this energy gathers in the heart chakra and then leaves the animal's body, the body itself is lifeless due to no electromagnetic energy. Now, what happens? It crosses over what we call the death line. And the death line is an area that has no electromagnetic energy in it. But you have to cross it. Some people call it the veils. Some people call it the other side. Some people call it Rainbow Bridge. But what happens is the pet's life force energy, which is alive, it just vacated the building it was living in, crosses that line and ends up on the other side at what a lot of people call the Rainbow Bridge. But they all look like shiny, fresh sparklers. That's right. No matter how sick they were, how crushed they were having been under a truck, or how emaciated they were having gone through chemotherapy and cancer, when their life force energy crosses the death line and into Rainbow Bridge, your pet becomes an immediate sparkler, a bright, shining life force, just a burst of gorgeous energy. So when anybody says to me, well, is he okay? Does he know everything's all right? Was everything at death surrounding? Did he understand? The answer is yes. Why did he understand? Because you pre-scripted it. Why is everything okay? Because both of you agreed on how it was going to be in this lifetime. And is he okay? Of course. He is a gorgeous, sparkling ball of light that is alive, that is well, and that has never-ending love. Now, if you'd like, you can see our video on YouTube called Return from Rainbow Bridge, and we have it right now in about 8 languages, soon to be 10. And you can see we show how the animal comes back from Rainbow Bridge to reincarnation. So we're going to take a break with our sponsors. So now you know that no matter what you think or what occurred around the transition of your pet, the answer to your question, is he okay? Did he understand? Is yes. You planned it together. He's perfectly okay. And he's a brand new, bright, alive, and shiny soul. So let's take a break with our sponsors, and I'll be right back.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
Every pet is unique. Maybe they're gray in the muzzle, yet young at heart. Maybe they're growing out of the puppy stage and into their paws and ears. Or maybe they're just trying to maintain a more girlish figure. At PetSmart, we have the right food for your pet at a great value for you. PetSmart. Be better together.
Go to PetSmartDeal.com and save up to 30% on awesome gifts for the pets and pet people in your life. Toys, collars, leashes, PetSmart gift cards, treats, and more. Go to PetSmartDeal.com today. PetSmartDeal.com.
I Love My Pets, the new single by Mark Winter, available on iTunes.
Hi, this is Marcy Davis and my service dog Whistle, and and we're your hosts of Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. Working Like Dogs is the show where you can learn everything you ever wanted to know about working animals or working dogs. Whether you're a member of a working dog team or you've just seen a working dog or animal out at the mall or the grocery store and you're curious about how these amazing animals work with their human partners, then Working Like Dogs is the show for you. Join us for the inside scoop at Working Like Dogs on PetLifeRadio.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
All right, now we're going to go literally to the all right part of your questions. Everybody says, is he okay? Can I tell him I love him? We're going to tell you how to ask your pet and to hear your pet tell you back in your heart, I love you. Now, if you want to learn more about this, I want to direct you. We have a Facebook group called Animal Reincarnation. We have 30,000 members all over the world. We have global bereavement teams to help you 24/7 answer your questions about pet loss. So go to Facebook, join our Animal Reincarnation group, and you'll see that we're the #1 pet loss grief group in the world because of our 24/7 team. You can talk in your language. We have a Spanish team, a Portuguese team, a French team. An English team. We have an Australian team. So if you're out there in any language, just about, and have a question about animal reincarnation, as Bob Barker would say, come on down to our Animal Reincarnation group, and somebody 24/7 is there to help you get through it. We want you to know that you're not alone, and we'll be there to help you. If you want to see our Return from Rainbow Bridge poem and videos, we have a Facebook page called Return from Rainbow Bridge that has all the poems and videos in the languages. So you can download your own and print your own version and share it with your friends, which we hope you'll do, to inspire hope. Remember, all of these shows are archived and on podcasts, so you might want to check back. There's lots of information on them. Now, everybody says to me, well, tell him I love him. You don't have to ask me to tell your pet that you love them. And you're going, well, he's dead. Why? Here's why. Just because a person says they're an animal communicator and you think you're not, does not make you unable to hear your pet. Let me say that again. Just because you are not a professional animal communicator does not mean you cannot talk to your pet. And here's why. Since you and your pet have that emotional bond, it's like a fiber in a tapestry. The electromagnetic energy of you and your pet are interwoven. Therefore, you can feel your pet inside yourself. You can touch your pet on the other side at Rainbow Bridge, and you can talk to your pet with just a few tips. Now, if you want to touch your pet, I have a whole chapter on that in my book, Animal Reincarnation. And if you want to feel him, there's a whole chapter on that too. And there's a chapter if you want to see him. But here's what you do. You say, I ask, and it is my intent to talk with, you can say the word Fluffy now or Fido, whichever. Put your cats or dogs or horses or ferrets or rabbits or bunnies or lizards name in that blank space. I ask, and it is my intent to talk to blank now. I ask, and it is my intent to talk to blank now. Now, you want to use the word intent with a T because that makes it current. And when animals are at the Rainbow Bridge, they live in Never Never Land, and that means they have no time constraints. So, you can ask your pet to see and come visit you in your dreams, and you can say, is he okay? You can say, come to me in my dreams and let me know you're okay. But here's what you have to specify. Say tonight. Say, come to me in my dreams tonight and let me know you're okay. And that way, your pet can tell you directly how he feels. So you don't have to say to me, is he okay? Tell him I love him. Now, when you say tell him I love him, all you've got to do is say that out loud, say it in your heart, or say it in your mind. Because a pet, once they cross the death line, is a sparkling life force energy. And that means they're alive, they're well. They've never left your side. They've never stopped loving you, and they can hear absolutely every word that you have to say. Now, some of you out there have had a reading with an animal communicator, and you go, nah, that information is not quite right. Well, that means that that communicator has not tapped into the frequency that is your pet. Doesn't mean there's a bad reading. It just means they weren't able to access your pet's frequency. Well, why does this matter? It matters because since you and the pet, your pet, remember, are connected, then you understand your pet's frequency, and therefore you can tap into your pet's frequency, which means you can talk to your pet and tell him, I love you. And that's really important for you to understand. Every thought you have in your head, your pet knows. I had a lady did a reading, and she said, well, how do I know my pet knows what I'm thinking? I said, do you really want me to tell you? And she said, well, yeah. How do I know that my pet knows what I was thinking? And I said, well, you're definitely approaching 40. She said, well, yes, I am. What does that have to do with anything? And she was being very defensive. And I said, well, you're trying to decide whether you want to get pregnant or not and if you want to move. You could have heard the silence on the other side of the room across the world. She said, nobody knows that. I thought it inside my head. And I said, and where do you think I got it? Your cat. So even your tiniest, most innermost, precious thoughts, your pet can hear because they live in your heart and they live beside you. Their energy is there. So if you want to reach down and pet them, there's a technique to do that. It's in my book. If you want to see them, it's in the book. You can tell your pet, I love you. You don't need an animal communicator to tell you how to do that. There are also ways you can ask your pet specific things. And I have the wording. You say, I ask, and it is my intent to ask, and tell your hamster's name or your ferret or your gerbil or your guinea pig, and you ask the question, and you say, tell me what I need to know now. Tell me what I need to know now. Tell me what I need to know now. And you say that 3 times. You're going, why 3 times? It's pretty repetitive. There's a reason when you say, tell me, Fluffy, what I need to know now. Tell me, Fluffy, what I need to know now. By repeating it, the first time sets your intent. The second time focuses the energy. And the third time validates that this request is now. And you say now because pets live in forever time. And now is very important because now will bring your answer into the present. And that's really important. You just don't say, okay, tell me if you love me. Well, he could go and say, which incarnation do you want to know that in? You want to know that next year? Or you want to know that 4 incarnations from now? So you have to be very, very specific in the wording. And that's why when you ask your pet, you say now. And that's why you also say, I ask and it is my intent. That means you get their attention instead of just letting them dribble and drab when they want to come and present information to you. And that's also a way you can bring them to, run across the room, or you can feel them jump up on the bed, or you can see them sit in your lap, or you can hear them meow, or you can hear them bark, and all those things. No, you're not crazy. There's about 30,000 plus people on our Animal Reincarnation Facebook group that they're not crazy, and we all talk about this all the time. And really, it's like one of the girls said the other day, who's from Australia. She said, everybody around the world knows this is true, and there's just so much evidence to prove all this. And I said, well, yeah, after, almost 20 years, it's pretty evident. But it seems like the United States is one of the last ones to catch up on this wave of it's happening. So if you want to learn more about it, come on down and join us. If you want to see my books, they're at www.justplainlovebooks.com. I can be found on Brent Atwater, Pet Loss and Animal Reincarnation on Facebook, or you can email me at brent@petliferadio.com. If you have any suggestions about this show, or you've got things you think would be a good topic, let us know. Remember, brent@petliferadio.com. We're looking forward to expanding your awareness, and we're going to be answering readers and listeners' questions. And when I say readers, those on the Animal Reincarnation page, I take a lot of questions from there and answer them on the radio. And then when you send us your emails, I try to answer them, and we'll have times when we spend a whole show or several shows just answering your questions, because we try to answer questions that are educational for lots of folks. Please include your telephone number in your email so that we may call you and you may be a guest on the show. We try to use educational questions so that lots of others can learn from your opportunities. I hope today that you have gained exposure to pet reincarnation and that you've learned the techniques of how to ask your pet, is he okay? And to know that you can tell your pet who has never left your side and never stopped loving you that you love him, and you don't need me or anyone else but your heart to do so. So I'll see you on Facebook, and I'll look forward to talking to you again. PetLifeRadio.com, the world's #1 pet radio, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Bye-bye.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.